The art of body language is one of the most overstudied fields of modern psychology. Many deep thinkers have been heavily fascinated by how the body reacts in ways that people are not aware of. More strikingly is the fact that body language has been proven to be something that's very powerful and carries a lot of merit. But reading body language is not for everyone. And even though someone may tell you they're good at reading, it's still highly debatable when it comes to things that are not an exact science. However, once you master the art of reading body language, you'll find it's much easier to just know if someone likes you or not. In this video, we look at 8 movements women make inadvertently, or sometimes even on purpose, that show that she's attracted to you. But first, we need to clear up a misconception about body language. The body language conundrum. The social sciences have been very fascinating the last few decades, and with mental health taking center stage, it's become a deeper field to study. However, body language was naturally used to determine whether or not someone might be lying, or if they could perhaps be hiding something more sinister. Whilst it was used somewhat effectively, we now have come to learn that reading body language is not as simple as checking their movements and their facial expressions. In fact, the best way to do this is to have some kind of baseline, which is often a very critical element many people forget when it comes to this science. You see, body language is heavily affected by a couple things, and one of these things is naturally the person's own history, morals, culture, and even religious affiliations. With so many variables, it becomes rather tough to securely pinpoint what someone's thinking or feeling through body language. Perhaps the most concrete form of reading body language is with people you have around you frequently. The reason for this is very simple, and it's because you have time to get to know someone. In psychology, this is naturally called a baseline, and understanding the core way in which someone tends to naturally react to something. You see, a baseline allows you to understand what the normal behavior of a person is. Whenever they act out of character, there's usually something influencing or driving them into reacting in such a way. This natural deviation is very easy to spot, but when you don't know a person, it's hard to determine which actions are natural to them specifically. The upside to all these studies is that social psychologists have established a natural baseline or way women tend to react. This means that many deviations that women have when they like someone are also very similar, which makes it easier to determine exactly what it is women do that show they're into you. The following 8 signs are some of the most significant signs when it comes to body language, and if a woman likes you, she's more than likely to continue showing these things. Let's dive in. Number 1. It's all about the lips. One of the most unique areas you want to watch out for when it comes to women is the face. They naturally say the eyes are the windows to the soul, but reading the eyes of someone can be daunting at best. This requires a completely different field of study, which is mostly focused on micro expressions. However, the lips are one of the most important areas. Women tend to use their lips to easily signal attraction, which is often done by either biting subtly on the lips or when she chooses to lick her lips. By licking her lips, a woman will signal that she likes what she's seeing, and this is very similar to someone seeing something they'd like to eat. However, this has nothing to do with food, and it's one of the most fascinating aspects of human evolution. You see, women have learned that men put a lot of emphasis on their lips, and they often have men who constantly stare at them. Women have naturally learned to use a kind of red lipstick or gloss as a way of drawing even more attention to their lips. You don't have to be deeply and constantly focused on her lips either. In fact, you'll notice these licking of the lips and other ways she uses it to indicate attraction quite quickly. Women also lick their lips and lightly bite on them playfully as a way of making themselves more seductive. If you add a very slight smile to this, it's even more indication of how she is attracted to you. Number 2. The hips are a great indicator. Have you noticed that women change the way they walk depending on who they're around? If you spend a lot of time around women in various settings, you should pick up on some of these smaller things that often indicate some kind of attraction from women. You see, the hips are something that women can control, but it's also something that they can use. The stereotypical woman will walk by swinging her hips slightly, which draws a lot of emphasis and attention to her rear. Whilst you might think a woman doesn't know what she's doing, you can be pretty sure that every woman knows who's looking at her when it comes to these kinds of things. And this person will easily see her as far more attractive simply by the way she uses her hips and moves her body. These signs often combine well with how a woman dresses, and whilst her attire does not directly relate to body language, it does make it much easier for her to show off some of her attractive features that often draw men in. It's also easy to notice that a woman will sometimes wear clothing that fits very tightly, and it might even reveal some cleavage. Women will exploit this in the way she moves, often trying to give you a sneak preview of what awaits if you manage to court her successfully. This is a clear indicator that a woman does have some attraction towards you, and she wants you to make the move. All of this, combined with the lips, allows a woman to project a desirable picture, which promises lust and indicates that she's massively attracted to a specific person. Number 3. Soothing movements. One of the biggest fears when it comes to dates and making yourself vulnerable to someone else is the natural risk you run of rejection. This fear of rejection creates a very tense feeling, and it naturally drives people to have more soothing forms of behavior, where they make themselves feel comfortable. It's still heavily debated whether a woman playing with her hair by twirling it and stroking through her hair is a sign of nervousness or attraction. The one thing we do know about this is the fact that these soothing movements are a way for her to calm down and feel more comfortable around you. A woman might also comfort herself by crossing her arms, which is not necessarily a bad sign, even though many see this as a way of women showing they're not available and don't want to talk or interact with someone. There are various forms of these soothing movements, but they all indicate the exact same thing. And when it's used with other signs, it can easily indicate whether or not someone might be interested in you. However, if you want to focus on the hair and attraction, there's one thing that is very powerful to look for. You see, when a woman likes a man, she'll continue to do her very best to always look the best possible way she can. This could mean that she's constantly readjusting her hair and making changes that have her look in some kind of way. She might do this in front of you, or she might choose to do things like this every couple minutes by relieving herself and going to the restroom. Number 4. She checks you out. With the current rate of life, people are moving at such speeds to do things. In fact, most people find themselves in situations where they're always late. This massive rush has created a society that doesn't care about much and only wants to focus on what they need to do next. People have become oblivious to their surroundings. However, women still look at men the same way men tend to look at women, often looking for the most attractive one to fantasize about or try to pick her up. But when it comes to women, women are no strangers to also checking out men and trying to see if she does like them. In fact, you'll find that a woman who likes you will occasionally give you these slight glances. She might even try to do it in such a way that you don't even notice that she's doing it. This is actually when she's busy checking you out and trying to figure out if you're the kind of person she'll like. As mentioned in many of our previous videos, women have a lot of guys trying to hit her up, so she doesn't have any trouble when it comes to finding a guy who likes her. This means that if she's naturally trying to check you out, you have something she likes. Number 5. She's always close to you. If you're seeing a woman, the chances are high that you will eventually spend some time among friends or even strangers. One thing we found about the movements of women is how they always seem to gravitate toward the guys they like. Even if you're not the person a woman likes and you find yourself in a group setting, you'll notice this. With a little observation, you should easily see how she continues to move closer and closer to the guy she likes. Now, there are many reasons for this, with one of the most important being the establishment of trust. You see, women always seek the person who can make them feel the safest and whom they can trust when it comes to naturally doing things that'll make them feel good. But when you're the person she likes, she could very easily gravitate toward you in many ways. One of these ways is by always trying to sit next to you, and when you're in a conversation, she'll refer to being right next to you. But this also applies to the conversation itself. You see, a woman will naturally look at how the guy she likes reacts, and this will be mimicked. Since she now sees who he is and what he likes, she'll try to be a chameleon and turn herself into the perfect type of person that the guy will like. If you happen to notice a woman constantly lingering around you and always wanting to be close to you, this is one of the movement signs of attraction. You should naturally roll with it and allow her to feel so comfortable with you. Number 6, mirroring your actions. The word mirroring is something that's been thrown around quite frequently, especially when it comes to attraction. However, mirroring was first discovered as a way for two people to naturally build rapport. You see, whenever two people meet and converse, one is often the more dominant of the two, and this person takes the lead. If the other person likes them, they'll inadvertently start mirroring their actions. However, this is something that happens naturally and does not need to be forced in any specific way. For example, when you scratch her head, she'll respond by also scratching her head, but she'll not even notice that she's doing it. Once you cross your legs one way, she might even respond by doing the exact same thing. This happens when two people are actually on the same page, and they naturally do this as a way of showing they like you. A big problem with this is that it takes a lot of focus to see. Since you're often so caught up in the moment, many people forget about this, and they don't even notice these subtle things happening. However, when a woman is mirroring you, it's not her being funny, but rather her starting to like you, or at the very least, she trusts you. Number 7, she breaks the touch barrier. It's often the work of the man to break the touch barrier and to make a woman feel comfortable that you're actually touching her. In fact, it's quite daunting when you don't know how and when to touch a woman. But we've created an in-depth video that you should watch next to ensure you know how to touch a woman. However, touch is very important for any kind of relationship and situation, since it's one of the best ways to establish trust and to enable the other person to see who you actually are and what you're naturally trying to do. Since the man should be the first one to make the move, especially when it comes to touch, it's usually the man who progresses the relationship to something more physical. However, we all know the current state of men and how most men will often try to delegate control of the relationship to women. You see, many men actually fear women, and they become so uncomfortable simply going for the move that women have realized that it's time for them to break the touch barrier. Since women naturally avoid giving off the wrong signals, they might not want to touch any other guy. However, if she likes you, she'll naturally want to break through the touch barrier and show you that she does like you. When a woman is breaking the touch barrier, you're best served to just go with it, and you can even respond if you want to enhance things even more. Number 8, she tries to seduce you. Finally, there's nothing more direct than when a woman is actively trying to seduce you. Now, seduction can happen in many different forms, and whilst some women prefer using words, others will use their body to be as close to you as they naturally can and put you in a position where you're going to feel her body. Women who like a guy will put in a ton of effort to seduce him, and this could be even targeting your weak spots like the ears and neck. Ultimately, this could be one of the clearest signs to see, and it would show you definitively that she likes you. Body language is quite a deep topic and includes many other aspects that all indicate whether or not someone's interested. However, you also have a responsibility as a man to make a move and show women you like them as well. This is where the next video will significantly help you to better understand what you can do to turn women on.